note that the board was previously in a closed session where they also completed the Pledge of Allegiance, proof of posting, agenda, everything. We are now on to 3.1. Is there a motion or any further discussion to authorize the district's legal counsel and district administrator to negotiate on behalf of the board regarding the sale of Maisomanie Elementary School, and to authorize the district administrator to sign all sale and transfer documents on behalf of the board?
I make the motion to approve the legal counsel and district administrator to negotiate the Mesa school sale.
All right.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any last questions? Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
And Angie?
Told you that on that.
Oh, she's not on? Okay, and I'll abstain? All right. So then moving on to public input. We do have a couple individuals here. Just to remind that we do have public input available to everyone. If we can just keep it to a 2-minute minimum time of talking, we appreciate that. Pastor Rob Nelson is first.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. This was really in regards to if a decision hadn't been made yet on the offers, I wanted to speak to it. If a decision already has, I don't think it's necessary. So you can let me know if there is or isn't, and then you don't have to say what the decision is. But if there is a decision, I'll save you the time.
There has been a decision, and we will be engaging in a direction tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Then I don't need to offer anymore.
Okay. Thanks, Rob.
So will there be any announcement made tonight?
Not this evening, because we need to counsel back with legal and then with the realtor as well, and then there will be documentation coming out tomorrow.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, and Janet Balster, did you wish to speak?
Same, so I'll pass.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. Like I said, yep, there will be information coming out.
Okay. Very good.
With that, then we will move on to minutes and payroll. Do you have a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes of January 24th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any changes or questions? Hearing none. Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
I'll say yes. Do I have a motion to approve the payroll accruals and disbursements as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or changes? Hearing none. Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
And Mary Beth?
Yes.
And I'll say yes as well. I do not have a lot at this time for President Report. I'm just excited to hear from his side. It's so neat to see the walls. So with that, I'll just move on to all of our admin reports. Were there any questions, or Jordan, did you have anything
Nope,
else?
nothing to share unless people have questions regarding the administrative reports.
No, thanks for all your work.
It's that time of year where you wake up and it's May.
Don't say that, I'm not ready.
Yeah, don't say that.
I will say that to you. I feel bad saying it to everyone else. We got something going on here that I don't feel bad about. But no, I just appreciate everything from everyone, and yeah, it truly is, by the time you look at it, parent-teacher conferences next week, and then spring break in March, and Easter, and then it's May, so it will go very fast, so.
All right, then we will move on. So facilities and transportation, we do have Mike here again, that we are very excited to get that May going.
Mike Fetcher with Performance Services, your design builder, project manager.
Hang on a second, thank you all for
Yep,
coming.
thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. All right, sorry about that, Mike.
No problem. Yeah, so exciting things are happening. So the Hyde Middle School renovations, so we're basically kind of in the same kind of status here. We're just following up on any warranty items. We really, since our last meeting, haven't had too many, honestly. But the big update is we were able to do the training with Bill on the HVAC control system. So we kind of handed that off a little bit further to him, so he's got more understanding of how it works, and so then we got somebody at the school kind of monitoring that more than before, which is the positive. And we're still here, obviously, helping him, like we said, like the training wheels kind of situation, but it just makes a difference when, you know, he's kind of controlling it more and kind of getting in tune with everything, and also here day to day, you know, interacting with the staff and things too, so that next step is a positive. Yep.
Did you ever figure out, you had said that there was an issue when the temperature dropped, that one shut down and you were gonna try to troubleshoot?
Yeah, no, we didn't. We just monitored the boilers when that happened, like the next 4 or 5 times, and nothing went wrong with the boilers. They like transferred over right. And we were kind of concerned about that because like when we looked at it first in the programming, they couldn't find anything of like what, you know, an issue, so to speak. So we don't really ever found like a root cause for that. But we did monitor it like the next, I don't know, 4 or 5 times when it got to that temperature level where the backup boiler came on because it stayed cold. Like right after we met for like a week, there were still some cold days where that backup boiler came on and went back in that next week. And it did what it was supposed to the rest of those times. So it's kind of, yeah, I'm kind of not sure, but we just, so we're aware of it and Bill's aware of it and we're going to continue to do that if we have any other cold temps that, you know, have that happen and keep watching it. But it's a good sign that at least the next however many times, 4 or 5 times, we're watching it closely and that, you know, everything did what it was supposed to. So.
Does the optimization normally take months to do? Because it's been on here for quite a while. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I guess,
a normal thing, or?
you know, we try to communicate that 4 seasons is the best, is that you actually get through all 4 seasons, especially in a campus like this when it's like, there was an original build in 1964, then you had something in 94, and there's some other retrofits from original purposes of spaces. Like, you can make the system so much to what should work in a school, but it has to be inserted and then run through a facility like this throughout the seasons to then tweak it to make it work completely.
No, I
You know,
just curious if that's a normal thing, so.
Yeah, it's pretty typical. So, like I said, some other outfits you might use might just kind of dump it off on you and then be like, okay, good luck, and then you're calling them. I mean, I think even Bill's dealt with this, and then they're like, oh, you want me to do this? I'll come and pay, you know. But, you know, that's not the way we do it, so. But yeah, I think we've at least been, now we've been like kind of, we've got a taste of extreme summer, although the summer we didn't have like full system, let's say, so we still need, you know, next summer to really do it, but we did have a taste of it because we were hotter this year, even in the fall. So we kind of got in the high level of the temp and the low level of the temp, which is a good thing, you know, because that's the extremes where the systems have to work the hardest. We've been through that. Elementary school edition. So we're continuing steel erection. I think I mentioned when we first started, we'd probably be doing that till about March. We're probably wrapping that up in the next 1 to 2 weeks for substantial completion. They're on the northeast side of the building right now, kind of wrapping that up. They've got kind of where the library is, they've got to put the decking up there, kind of finish the decking up on that taller portion where the library is, and then there's some other just detailing work and stuff like that. And they'll be doing some other small things from there, but we're kind of in the tail end of that process. We're getting the structure up. And then metal framing's falling right along. You guys mentioned that. The exterior walls are going up. So we're on the exterior walls, we pretty much wrapped up, or close to wrapping up the north side from southwest north, and we kind of just have that main entrance area and that east section left, and I'll kind of point this out a little more when we go to the pictures. With roofing, we were able to, as I mentioned before, with the temps, that's the one that's kind of on and off a little bit, but as we get through February and March, the temps are rising and giving us more working days, but we're able to get the gym done at the roof, basically. That helps to enclose it. We don't have all the detailed flashings around the perimeter yet, but we've got like the actual roofing material, all the main roofing material down, which helps enclose it to keep the temp heat in, like I was mentioning, so then we can start doing the inside and not freeze out components on the inside. So we've got that done, and we just started turning our temporary heating on in there and started doing MEP rough and starting with some electrical on there just today, so that's good. And now the roofing's moving down to the mezzanine, so you can go ahead and just see that picture there. We kind of had that one last of the south side of the building. The tall part is obviously the gym, and that's where we kind of finished the bulk of the roofing. Now the roofer's coming down on that next taller part, which is like the mezzanine area, which is the art and music rooms with like mechanical room behind that. So they're going to do that roofing next, and then they'll come down on the south side on the 13-foot tall, like that gonna be black. Did you guys go from green to black or something, some kind of cool?
Sure.
Just want to see if
I
you're
shouldn't
paying
even say
attention.
that, I don't wanna.
Like, what color is that?
No.
No, that's just actually just an air and vapor barrier, it's called, and it helps protect. So any moisture gets back there on the wall, it just helps protect it so it runs out. It runs out the wall, and then there's these kick out things in the brick that kick out a little bit of water that could get back there. It's a little bit complex, but, so it's part of the assembly at this point. So the roofing, so basically in summary, the steel's in the northeast corner, the metal framing's been chasing right behind it. Now we're trying to get the roofing and the exteriors going kind of behind that in the same sequence. Because, well, right there in that picture, you can't see the brick, but we already got brick going up as well now. You go out there on that southeast corner, because they're chasing that as well, going from southeast to northeast. And then now we're also getting, like I mentioned, the MEP, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire suppression, started in the gyms, and then soon behind that, we'll get it going in the south side, called segment 2, and working around the building as well. So kind of a lot of, I think you guys have been seeing visually, a lot of things taking off, which is a good thing on what we need to do, as I mentioned before, on stacking the trades of the structure, the exteriors and roofing, the MEP, and then the finishes. Kind of stacking on top of each other like that, chasing each other around the building. So I kind of went through a little bit of an explanation of that picture. You can see that's the south side of the building. The next one, that's just the west side. So that's like the exterior sheeting on the wall and some of the blocking for the windows. And that's before it's treated with the air and vapor barrier I mentioned, before it gets the insulation in the brick. And then that's on the north side, the framing. And these pictures are from, last Wednesday or Thursday or whatever.
The north side now.
Now that north side's all
Yeah.
sheathed and, got wood blocking almost, partway through it and all that kind of stuff. Another picture of the north side's pretty long. So this is another picture of the north side still going out there. And then you can see the main entrance here, which now has all the decking on it, like the roof decking, the metal decking is kind of done all through there, and we just have the library left. And moving forward, you'll start to see more work on the inside going on, because now the framer, we're adding crew members to start going on the inside, on that south half, and doing like the tracks and some of the walls as we kind of rotate around there to help support the MEP roughen stuff going on. Now with the MEP roughen, you don't want to put in all the walls right away, because it gives them a little more flexibility to get around and put some of those components in, but you want to put some of the walls in, and we concur on putting like the corridor walls in, and a few other key walls, so they can get a lot of their work done, and then ultimately follow up with all the walls in that process, so a lot of good things happening in summary. Hopefully that wasn't too long.
Oh, it's great. It's really cool.
Are windows still expected on time, and when do those expect to be?
Yeah, so they're
Is it better
expected
to-
on, I think, St. Patrick's Day, March, whatever that is, I can't remember off the top of my head. But they're not far behind here.
I know some windows have taken a very long time to get, so.
Yeah, we've been trying to do everything, like we said, that even with the steel and everything else, we've been trying to get ahead and order stuff way early. We have a decent amount of stuff, more than other projects stored off-site too. But some of the stuff you're just battling at such a long lead time that it's just gonna kind of come when it is, but everything we know right now is in line with what we needed or close to. But now we're going through a lot of like the finishes and stuff like that and doubling back and making sure, okay, this is still coming, this is still, that kind of thing. Because it can change daily, but I think things are getting better, from production standpoints and things in general, overall, but you never know with the past, what's gonna happen, also, all of a sudden they're gonna say there's a shortage on this. And that takes it, a bit longer than they even said, but.
I took a walk with Mr. Moore today at the end of the day, and as we were finishing up that walk, I think it's important for context just to think about, it was barely 2 months ago, there was just a concrete slab sitting there. So as we think about this marathon that we're running right now, and that Mike is helping coach and coordinate, the fact that 2 months ago there was a slab, and now you walk around out there and you can see things and like visualize very clearly, oh, that's a classroom, that's where that's going to be, that's where a hallway is going to be. The progress is substantial and leaves me very optimistic. that Mike and his team are gonna continue to coordinate, work with the subs and do a great job. Because to think that they've come this far in 2 months, and this was the worst 2 months of the year, to me, it's very encouraging. So I just wanted to say that out loud, because I know there's always people that are skeptical, like, oh, this is never gonna happen. Well, they've met some pretty big targets, and I was working through December, January, and half of February. So, good work, appreciate
Thanks for
it.
that. We're doing everything we can, and we're trying to gain days as well if we can. So
It's
it's not
encouraging.
easy, but thank you.
Scott, I think you were excited as the future principal of this building to kind of see what it looks like. Any comments from you?
No, it's, well, yes, I mean, driving by it, I always look and think, there is no way that it is the size it should be. I mean, it just from afar, it looks super small, but when you get in it, it just is, I was like, oh, okay, cool. It makes sense now, like, just to be in there and to see just where everything's gonna be, because you've only looked at it from the top down for so long. But just to see it and see it all laid out is exciting. Because, you know, you have to wear a hard hat, which is ultra exciting. Your sparks flying everywhere. I mean,
We
it's
can
just
get you
really
more
look so
PPE, we can get you a vest if you want, safety glasses. Get you all.
It's a really cool thing to see, and just taking that tour really helped to put it all together and to see what, you can start to really conceptualize it now, so it was very exciting.
I think you're right, though, it's really hard to see just from the road how big it really is, because you're only seeing that small portion of it. But to know that there's so much going on around, and I love the imagery of them chasing each other around the building, like, it's just kind of funny. But yeah, I think people don't really realize how much it is really coming along, but to see the pictures and to really come up close, it's pretty cool.
And as we get more going on the inside, obviously when I have the updates, I'll have more photos of the inside, and then, you know, that'll give a glimpse into more of that too, versus just like kind of the front side and the perimeter. But yeah, it's substantial size project. And we've had these conversations from like the beginning, because it is hard if you're not in construction and haven't gone through the whole process. When you just see like the dirt, and you can just see across all the dirt, it's like, what is this, you know? Oh, then you can see the slab, and you can see across all the slab. But it keeps coming in pieces, and I think people are recognizing that, like you guys are saying, so okay, they get the gym walls up, okay, that gym looks pretty big now. You know, now we get the rest all, okay, this is, so, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Any questions for Mike?
Thank you so much,
Okay,
Mike.
thanks,
Appreciate
Mike.
it. Thanks, Mike. Have a good night.
Thanks, see ya.
All right. Move on to policy then. This is for information at this time. Do you want to talk about your changes with Neola?
Yeah, I mean, just like always, updates happen, things happen in other districts, cases happen. They work with, I think it's up to 300 districts in the state of Wisconsin at this point. So they have a substantial net in the state in working with situations. So I had a meeting with Steve LaValle, our rep, a couple of weeks ago. So there's two things attached. Number one is technical changes, which don't require board action. Those are just to clarify things. And then the other piece is the actual policy updates, which we have on tonight for a first reading. So there's PDF attachments that are available for you to look at. And then if you want to go in and actually look at all of the policies themselves, board members, there is information listed in executive for you for how you log in and get into board docs to take a look. There really wasn't anything that substantial. The one thing that Steve and I talked about a lot was student productions, student media productions, because evidently there's been some pretty significant issues in some districts regarding things like school newspapers, and then schools that have social media sites that are attached to the school but that kids operate on behalf of the school. And there's been some pretty significant cases involving that. In our case, we don't presently have an active student newspaper, and we don't have students posting things to school-sponsored social media sites. So there's obviously that difference between school-sponsored speech and then personal, free, protected speech. Those are two different things. And what we were talking about primarily is school-sponsored speech. So that was the biggest update. We talked about that for probably a half an hour and went through some options there. You, I guess, would see if I wanted to describe that. Ours is relatively conservative at this point because we don't have a lot of these things happening. Certain districts that have a lot of this happening tend to be pretty open in terms of what they allow, in terms of censorship. In our case, we don't have it, so it's just not the place that we're at right now. If it ever comes to that, we could obviously revisit the policy. Any questions on anything that we looked at? If not, we'll just bring this back on the 28th for approval. And it's always nice because I just have to send them an email after it's approved, and then the policy gets updated online the next day.
All right, good. Thanks, Jordan.
Yep.
All right, one more for focus. We do have the curriculum. This was sent out earlier today. Just a reminder that, everything is kind of status quo right now. The mask mandate goes until the March 1st. I was thinking the 3 of March. And we will be likely talking a little bit more in our next meeting, just to clarify what we currently have in place and make sure that that is still what we are going to move forward to. Any?
No, you summed it up nicely. Obviously, with the announcement from Public Health today, that puts us in a position where we have a couple of weeks to kind of assess the situation. We'll be meeting with the medical advisory group that we had previously discussed things with back in November to just assess what is the situation now in comparison to what it was then. The board had approved the procedure at that time, but 4 months later, things are a little different. We've had a significant number of individuals get vaccinated. We've had a significant number of individuals contract COVID. So national immunity as well, perhaps. So those are important factors for us to weigh and to discuss with that group. So I would envision 2 weeks from tonight, we will discuss this and kind of set the course for where we think we're going to go for the rest of the school year. But the one thing I will say thank you to Public Health is we were urging them to let us know if this was going to be extended or not, so it gave districts a couple weeks to figure things out, which they did, so they probably don't get a lot of thank yous. I'll say thank you for that, because at least it gave us a couple weeks to figure things out locally. So stay tuned for more information. Obviously, it's an important topic, and we really want to end the year on a positive note in so many ways, so we'll be thoughtful.
Sounds good. All right, we will then move on to 8 personnel. If anyone wants to make a motion for 8.1 to 8.5, I would certainly welcome that.
I'll make a motion to combine 8.1 through 8.5.
Wonderful. I don't know, thank you to Rachel, she's been a great help to us here, but thank you everybody else. Anything else for anyone to say? Hearing none. Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yeah.
Matt?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
And Mary Beth?
Yes.
And I'll say yes as well. That brings us to our future meeting dates. Any meetings of note? I don't think so.
No, not to come to mind from you right
Yep,
now.
I think we're good. All right, well then I will make a motion to adjourn.
So,
Thank you all. Mike?
Yes.
James?
Yeah.
Matt?
Yes.
Barb?
Yes.
Mary Beth?
Yes.
And I'll say yes as well. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, admin. Thank you, Sheriff.